This is Greg with Crossing Jordan Ministries, and this is a controversial video, but I felt compelled to make it because, listen, I don't just believe something out of the blue. I've studied and studied and studied. I've looked up hundreds and hundreds of different people on social media, and I've done tons of research. There's a lot of information that you can look back into in the 1800s. You can study Copernicus. It's all about flat Earth. And so the interesting part about this video, um, there's a guy here that I met. His name is Keith, and he actually lives in Daytona Beach. And I had to go to New Smyrna Beach to do a job function, and I was able to reach him. I sent him a message on TikTok and I asked him for his phone number. And when I was over there, he was at a gas station not far from me, if you can believe that. And I said, man, let me come and meet you. So it wasn't even anything that was planned. I pulled in and I met him and I started talking to him and I said, you know what? I'd like to be able to try to film this. I'd like to at least let people know more. He knows a lot more than I do. And I know a lot, but I'm not an expert of this. That's by no stretch of the imagination. I don't proclaim to be the expert in it. There's a lot of people that have been studying this for years. They've talked to some of the really big leaders and know a whole lot more. But this is not rocket science, and it's not hard to start raising a lot of these questions. And I think millions of people have actually come to believe in flat Earth now in the last few years, and I think many more are on the way to do it as well. When they start seeing all the information, you start seeing all the lies from NASA. So anyway, check this interview out. I hope you enjoy it, and if I were you, I would try to pass it along to your church and to other believers and other followers or other friends. You know, if you don't want to accept it, that's fine. You don't have to. But I think, based on all the facts that I've seen, that we are on a flat plane and that we've been lied to horrifically by NASA about everything. So check this out. I hope you enjoy it. All right. Hey, this is Greg with Crossing Jordan, and I actually was out here at New Smyrna Beach, and I've seen Keith on TikTok. That's how I met him, and he's really putting out a lot of good information on flat Earth. It got my attention. I started following him. I started watching some of his videos, and surprisingly, he wasn't too far from where I was today. I said, you know what, maybe I can reach this guy and get a hold of him. So that's why I'm making this video. So he's been into this a whole lot longer than me. He's got a lot more information than me. I'm fairly new into this. I didn't really know much until about a year and a half ago. But Keith,
yeah,
let me tell
good
you
to meet
something.
you, Greg.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you too, man. You're putting out a lot of great information.
Thanks.
Tell us how you got into this and why you believe it as well. I mean, I could put it out myself too, but you got a lot more information than I do.
Sure. Well, it started for me 2017. A Navy pilot came into my place of business and told me to research flat Earth. So I was like, yeah, right. Okay, sure. I thought he was pulling my leg, you know. And he said, no, here, go look here, go look there, and he gave me some resources. And so I did, and it took me a few months to really say, okay, yeah, it's possible. It could be flat. And after about 2 years, totally new, and I started coming out publicly promoting it on Facebook and YouTube, and the last 6 months or so has been on TikTok, which on TikTok it's Aloha from Florida is where everybody can find me. So I've done a couple hundred videos now just teaching it. That after a while you realize, at first it's like everyone's like me, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? And you have all these questions, like, how does this work? After a while you realize everything only works on a flat and stationary Earth. From the microwave transmissions that go 200 miles plus, that can't work on the globe. The way airplanes fly, all the physics of aviation only works on a flat and stationary Earth. And I was not too long ago, I was in a documentary about a year and a half ago called The Mechanical Realm. That's about the Antikythera mechanism. We might talk about that more. But the main one I really like to promote is called Flatten the Curve, and that's by Vika Draziv. It's Vikkadraziv. And that one, if you haven't seen it yet, you haven't seen that?
I don't know if I have. I got so many files with videos and everything. It's a lot. But
well, both of those documentaries are a death blow for the globe belief system, because in Flatten the Curve, you have commercial and military pilots, other professionals like aeronautical engineers, merchant marines, the guys who navigate submarines, all proving with real-world applications that the Earth is flat and stationary. So I met Vika about the same time that video came out, and about a year later he said, hey Keith, you want to be in a video with us or a movie with us? And I said, sure. So we were in The Mechanical Realm about the Antikythera mechanism, which is this thing that's on my shirt. And what this is allegedly the world's first analog computer found in a shipwreck 120 years ago, but they date it to about 2,000 years ago. And once they reverse engineered it and figured out what it was, it's the perfect repeating cycles of all the luminaries over our flat and stationary surface around our magnetic center. In short, It's Bike Week in Daytona.
Yes,
So you're,
Daytona Bike Week. Sorry about the interruptions, people.
yeah. So what it is the geocentric cosmology. And once you look into geocentrism, you find out pretty quick that's the truth. Versus the heliocentric hypothesis, which we were all taught, the solar system, and from the 3rd grade, that's all a lie. The sun is not the center of anything. Nothing's going around the sun. The sun is not huge and far away. I mean, it's right there. It's small. It's local, going around our magnetic center. Just same with the moon. Same with all of the luminaries, the planets, and the fixed constellations. But they're doing it like clockwork, like perfect repeating cycles. So if you look into geocentrism or the geocentric
That was the
cosmology,
big thing that I got my research on.
Yeah.
That I started studying.
and a lot of people call that biblical cosmology.
Well, that's the whole thing that got me into it. And actually, my Bible, which I don't have with me,
yeah,
it had a whole thing there talking about heliocentric versus geocentric.
did it?
And that's what got me to start doing research. And then I found out that Copernicus is the main guy that they all banked it on.
Yep.
All the people at NASA and all that. The whole story of the whole globe Earth kind of came from him.
Yeah.
But he came up with it from the original with the Greeks.
Right.
And the Greeks were worshiping the sun god.
Yeah.
And so when I started looking all that up, I'm like, this is just a complete lie. Something doesn't make sense, man.
Well, the Greeks built this. This is anyway, it's attributed to the Greeks. In the world of academia, this is a well-documented, historical artifact. They have researched it for years now, decades. They say the Greeks built it, and what they do in the world of academia is like, well, how did the Greeks have that knowledge? How did they know how to build clockwork devices? That didn't come into existence until the 1400s. How did they know how to do this 2,000 years ago? But they don't talk about the software that went into the hardware, and that's the knowledge from either the Sumerians or the Babylonians or both on how the night sky works or how all of the luminaries work. The patterns of the luminaries has been well known, well documented for thousands of years. Everyone in the past knew the Earth was flat and stationary. They knew it was an enclosed system. It's only our recent history of the last 150 years or so where humanity has been taught to believe that the sun is the center or the sun is huge. But no, if you observe reality for yourself and research reality for yourself, you find out pretty quick the geocentric cosmology is the correct one.
Well, I know they try to tell us that the sun is 93 million miles away, which that's what kind of woke me up. And the big thing, and I don't know where you stand with that, but the Book of Enoch is what got me starting to ask a lot of biblical questions.
Right.
Because he gives you the whole breakdown. The sun and the moon were the same size.
Yep.
And that the moon is not a reflection of the sun. Then I've seen a lot of things where there's multiple versions of the sun that you see, and they call them reflections, and they say they're reflecting off the firmament,
the
and
dome,
everything
or the
else.
rakia, whatever. Yeah.
So that got me on a lot of stuff. Then the other big thing that got me onto the whole flat Earth is you stand at the ocean, you do not see water curve.
No, never.
And there's people that will tell you, well, you can't see it with your own eyes, but if you measure the curves, but yet you could take a glass of water, you could take a pool of water, a pond of water, a lake of water, and then you look at the ocean, you never see water. Water is completely flat.
Yep.
What's your answer to that? I mean, why do people believe this malarkey, man?
The natural physics of a large body of water is to be level on its surface and need a container. And like you said, it doesn't matter if it's a pond or a pool or the ocean. There's no curvature. Water does not display convexity on its surface, regardless of scale, regardless of altitude. You can go up as high as you want and look down. That horizon is still going to be perfectly level, flat, and horizontal. There's no curvature on it. What the globe belief system wants us to believe is that at some magical scale, gravity takes over, and all the water that we can look over for 5 miles, 10 miles on these lakes, somewhere way out there, miles away in some huge scale, then water starts changing its physics and starts curving. That doesn't happen. So water is like, for me, the best, fastest, easiest, strongest debunk of the globe. But then there's massive land masses. Like the state of Kansas, measured by the University of Arizona, 80,000 square miles, and they said it's flatter than a pancake.
Huh.
You can't have 80,000 square miles on a globe with a 4,000 mile radius. That doesn't work. So the land debunks the globe, the water debunks the globe, the sky, the movement of the luminaries debunks the globe. None of that works on the globe theory.
Well, the other biblical angle, because I take this more from a biblical angle than anybody, and that if you read the Bible, it says that the earth doesn't move.
All right.
Heaven is my throne and earth is my footstool.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of scriptures, and I've talked about it in some of the videos that I put out and some of the posts that I put out. So the other thing I'd like to do, and you said you're going to be working on a book or whatever. If you have a lot of different points, here's the big thing. Anybody that thinks the earth isn't flat, the biggest struggle you face is NASA, because people are going to look at NASA and they say, well, NASA's got all the satellites in space. NASA has all the pictures in space. They show you all that. And so people are going to think we're crazy because the minute you talk about NASA, they think that's how I can disprove flat Earth, because NASA's not lying to us. And how can you think the Earth's flat when you see all these satellites and all the pictures NASA shows you
Right.
from space? However, the research I've seen is that NASA's lying about everything, man. The International Space Station's a complete underwater event over in Houston,
Yeah.
and then they green screen it all. I've seen a lot of things where it's all green screen. The thing about going to the moon was a green screen. What's your take on all that stuff?
Yeah, the ISS, it is up there, whatever it is, but it's not the distance that they claim. It's not traveling the speed that they claim. If you watch a commercial jetliner at about a 7-mile altitude transit in front of the moon, and then look at the footage of the ISS going in front of the moon, they're just about the same angular size. So the jet's only 7 miles away. If the ISS were 253 miles away, you would never see it. Angular resolution says so. But yeah, there's lots of things that you can debunk the ISS with, like you said, the green screen glitches, the augmented reality, when they're pretending to float and there's a cup of water sitting on the counter, right? Or they're pretending to float and the camera captures a guy kneeled down to the side over there, not floating. So lots of stuff debunks the ISS, but they never went to the moon. The ISS is just, it's a show.
They can't even get out to space.
No,
The firmament's some kind of an object they can't get past, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, they made all these Hollywood movies with it where they keep flying up and hitting stuff and everything else.
Truth in plain sight. So, yeah. But
So-
I don't buy anything from NASA. And somebody asked me the other day, why do you guys not accept our pictures and you want us to look at your pictures? Well, our pictures, we took them ourselves. And we got the measurements to that thing far over there in the distance that you wouldn't be able to see if the Earth were curved. And your pictures are from somebody else, allegedly in outer space. You didn't take that picture. So there's no empirical evidence for the Earth being a globe. It's all beliefs and opinions based on assumptions.
Let me ask you this. What do you think the reasoning for them wanting to push a globe Earth?
Well,
What's that for?
Okay,
that's the big question.
that is the big question.
Because if it's all fake, what's the reasoning for wanting to do that?
Yeah, 2 reasons. The superficial, shallow reason is money. I don't think that's really the real reason, because
No.
people in control can print the money, or they can add zeros to the digital world, whatever they want to do. But there is something very real about this being an intelligently designed system. The way I say it, for the common word is flat Earth. The way I say it, it's an intelligently designed, enclosed, electrical, topographical, stationary plane that we commonly call flat Earth. And anybody with intellectual honesty, if they look into that, they're going to find out that's true.
What do you think about the rainbow? Do you think that there's 7 firmaments? Because that's the thing that I've raised questions on. Like,
Now, part of that goes into the Vedic cosmology. They have 7 levels above and 7 levels below Earth. And the Vedic cosmology is probably the oldest that we know of. And it doesn't matter, honestly, if it's the Bible or the Quran or the Bhagavad Gita. All of those ancient scriptures are flat Earth books written by flat earthers. Everybody back then knew the Earth was an enclosed system. They knew the Earth was flat and stationary. They knew the luminaries were moving over us in cycles. The reality is we all have a creator. We were created on purpose for a purpose, and everyone has to find that out for themselves. Nobody can tell you what it is. A church can't tell you. A synagogue can't tell you. A pastor, a priest, a rabbi. Nobody can tell you what your purpose is or what my purpose is. I have to find that out myself. So I think that, to answer your question a minute ago, to hide the creator is the #1 reason for the lie. But there's other reasons too. Some people say there's other continents out there with tons of resources.
Yeah, I've heard
so
that
there
too.
could be more land out there that we don't know about. The Pacific Ocean is huge. Or if you go outside the rim of Antarctica, the old world maps show massive continents far away from what we know as our known world.
well, I think one of the things I've raised questions about that makes me wonder is that they want us to believe in aliens.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
and that somehow there's life that's way out there, that the Earth is just one of many, and that they can find many more out there.
Yep.
And that there's black holes and all this other stuff. And initially I believed that for a long time.
Sure,
But
we all
then when
did.
you believe the flat Earth and you start finding all these facts out, you start thinking, okay, this is just part of the deception.
Yeah.
It almost seems like it. And they want to believe in evolution. They want to believe in the Big Bang, but none of that could have happened
Yeah,
because
it's-
everything is based on some kind of an intelligent system.
Yes.
It didn't just evolve out of nothing.
Right. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It starts with a Big Bang, giving birth to the globe. I call the globe the baby of the Big Bang. And then you get evolution, and then you get atheism. So it's like a lowering level, like a deep, dark, delusional pit of belief. And people who say there is no God, once they look into the science of flat Earth and realize, oh my God, the Earth is flat. Oh my God, it is enclosed. There has to be a God. So people who now, that's one of the big things, is that people that
It
used
has
to be,
woken a lot of people.
yeah, people that used to be an atheist, they come to the knowledge of flat Earth, and that knowledge, that truth, opens their eyes to realize, yeah, there's a creator. Yeah.
Churches don't want to talk about this though. Have you talked to anybody from any church?
They're afraid. I think my opinion is they're afraid of losing some of their people.
Or they're going to think they're
afraid
crazy
of losing their offerings. So yeah,
the initial response is anybody that hears this is going to think you lost your mind, you're crazy.
Yeah.
And so the churches don't want to talk about it because they're going to think, why am I going to want to talk about that? We're going to lose a bunch of congregants.
Yeah.
People aren't going to be part of us anymore because, gosh, NASA wouldn't really lie to us, would they?
Well, here I'll end with this because I got to get going. I know you do
Okay.
too. Several years ago, I asked a question on a Facebook group that I admin. It had like 30,000 people at the time. Now it's got like 60,000 people. But I said, what has the knowledge of flat Earth done for you guys? And I said, not if you're on the fence and you think maybe kind of sort of the Earth is flat, but you know, not a belief, but you know the Earth is flat. What has that knowledge done? So I got hundreds of answers back, but I got 3 answers kept coming back again and again and again, like repeated. And they said the knowledge of flat Earth has given me more peace of mind. It's given me a stronger sense of freedom, and it's given me a closer connection to my Creator. Well, that's what the truth does. So flat Earth is truth, and the solar system from 3rd grade, that's the lie. The heliocentric hypothesis has no evidence in reality.
Okay, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and there's a lot of good information there. I would highly recommend that you follow him. He's on TikTok, and he's on Facebook, and he's on some other social media platforms. There's a lot of guys out there like him. You should really try to find a bunch of them and start following them and researching them. I don't know what every single one of them believes. It was just interesting that I was able to get to meet this guy and talk to him and hear what he has to say. And here's the thing, and I'm gonna end with this because this one here really stands out the most to me, and that is the book of Joshua, when Joshua made the sun and the moon stand still in the sky. So check these verses out. I'm going to say a couple things about them, and then I'm going to end the video. Actually, go to Joshua chapter 10 yourself and read it. I'm going to pick up here in Joshua chapter 10. I'm going to pick up in verse 9. I'm not going to read the whole chapter. You can go read it yourself. I just wanted to end it with this. Joshua therefore came unto them suddenly and went up from Gilgal all night. And the Lord discomfited them before Israel, and slew them with a great slaughter at Gibeon, and chased them along the way that goeth up to Beth Horon, and smote them to Azekah, and unto Makkedah. Verse 11, and it came to pass, as they fled from before Israel, and were in the going down to Beth Horon, that the Lord cast down great stones from heaven upon them unto Azekah, and they died. There were more which died with hailstones than whom the children of Israel slew with the sword. And this is the important verses now, picking up in 12. Then spake Joshua to the Lord in the day when the Lord delivered up the Amorites before the children of Israel, and he said in the sight of Israel, Sun, stand still. Stand thou still upon Gibeon, and thou moon in the valley of Ajalon. And verse 13, and the sun stood still, and the moon stayed, until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Is not this written in the book of Jasher? Which the book of Jasher is not in the Bible, but you can go read the book of Jasher, and it talks about it as well. So as I finish verse 13, so the sun stood still in the midst of heaven, and hasted not to go down about the whole day. Those verses right there give me absolute 100% conclusion in my heart and in my spirit that the sun is what moves, the moon is what moves, not the earth. You can look up other scriptures about the earth not moving as well. The earth doesn't move. We are stationary. So if people even still want to believe we're in a globe that doesn't move. The sun and the moon move. The firmament that is above us, and I can make more videos on that. And you can watch a lot of these other people that have social media accounts as well that talk about this. But the sun and the moon move around us. So when he said, sun, stand thou still, and moon, that's what stopped. Something in the firmament, or the whole plane of the firmament stopped, not the earth. If we were on a ball that spun around at 1,000 miles an hour and the earth itself stopped, it would have been catastrophic all over the world. But it doesn't say the earth was moving. It said the sun moves. But yet NASA and all the people that want to tell us the earth is a globe tell us that the sun doesn't move and that the earth moves around the sun. And oh, it wasn't until Copernicus that we figured it all out. So anyway, I hope you enjoy the video. I certainly didn't cover everything, but I think this is a good enough video to get at least people to think and start doing their own research and start asking their own questions. And I would highly recommend that you share this and reveal it to a lot of people, because I thought it was all baloney too for a long time. But when I started looking all this up, and there's a lot more scriptures as well that will raise questions in addition to what I'm just showing you here in Joshua, and all of that really opened my eyes, and I see things totally different now. So I'm glad I got to meet Keith. Interesting guy. You can follow him and check him out. So anyway, thank you for watching. Appreciate everything.